Hey guys, welcome back. This is a Jupyter notebook. I have created this Jupyter notebook for you guys. I have errors and exceptions in this. So these are the definitions of errors and exceptions. What are errors? Errors are the problems in the program due to which the program will stop the execution. On the other hand, exceptions are raised the sum when the sum interval internal events occur when changes which changes the normal flow of the program. Okay, let's look into one of the syntax errors. Okay, so let's create some cells of this. Let's create syntax error. Syntax error. Let's give out an example of a syntax error. Let's say you want to print Paul. Let's delete this. So this is what we known as syntax error if you haven't followed the proper syntax. So for uh, item in, let's take a list 1 comma 2 comma 1 comma 2 comma 3 comma 4, and let's print item. So you can see this is again a syntax error because we aren't following the proper syntax in this kind of situation. So that is what we meant by syntax error if we are not following the proper syntax. Now let's look into exceptions. So these are all the exceptions, the proper some of the standard exceptions that we have in Python. So these are the name of the exceptions and these are the name of it. Okay, the definition of it. So we have standard error, arithmetic error, overflow error, floating point error, assertion error, EOF. EOF error is quite the thing that we have gone through a lot. If you haven't seen this, then I guess you are not following the course much properly. So EOF error, what it does is it will just move into the end of file is reached or not. And then if it isn't, then it will give me back just an error. Then we have key error, name error, unbound local error, input output error, syntax error, indentation error, system error, system exit, value error. So all of these are there. Just go through, read the error and see what exactly does it do. Okay, now exception handling. If there are any errors in your code, how to handle that errors? That can be done using try, except, and finally block. So let's start with a proper exception. So let's have an example with the exception. So let's say we have n is equal to int input. Let's take enter the number. So our input from the number has been taken out. So our input from a number has been taken out. So let's look into this. So a number has been taken out from input, and what we have to do is we have to divide it by n, whatever the user will be giving it. Let's say 45, or let's take 4. We'll get 25.0, right? But what if the user gives 0? That gives me an 0 division error. This is one kind of exception that we are having, that is a 0 division error. If you could just find it out. So raised when the division or modulo by 0 takes place for all numeric types. So that's the kind of error that we are having over here. Kind of 0 division error, that's an exception that we have. Now let's look into how to tackle all the exceptions that we are having. There are n numerous number of errors, and seeing all of the errors one after the other is not quite possible as of now. So we are just gonna jump into exception handling. Whenever any kind of error is there, then what to do? Then we have try block, and then we have except block. Let's click it out. Try. Let's add it out over here in the try block. Let's write whichever code we want to add out. So let's copy this, paste it out over here. In the try block, we wrote code that you feel that should be checked off, and then in the except block, if there is any error, then it will be called off. So error the code. So let's take the number is 5. let's print. Let's print out this number over here. Yeah. So let's take 5. So for 5 we are getting 20.0. For 4 again we are gonna get some numbers. For 3 also we are gonna get out some numbers. But what if we try to divide it by 0 now? We get whatever you have written inside the except block, because an error was generated. So our error was generated, so whatever you have written inside the except block, it will be executed. So inside the except block, what I have written error in the code. If you want to write something else or you want to do something else, it's totally fine. Okay, so that's about except block. Try except. Let's look into one more example. So we have a try block. Try, and let's check the amount is equal to, let's set it to 1999. If amount is less than 3000, then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna raise a value error. That's how you can raise out an error of yourself. So raise an error, please add money in your account. Please add money in your wallet. Okay, that's it. And let's write else. Else what I'm gonna do is print, please proceed with transaction. Okay, so let's run it out, and inside of this I can just write an except block, except value error as E. Let's print E. Let's run it out. So I'm gonna get this message. Please, if you want to delete this, that's also totally fine. Let's write if amount is greater than this. So please proceed with the transaction. So right now you have 2000 rupees in your account, and we are just checking that if the amount is less than 3000 rupees, so it's gonna generate an error that is, please add money in your account. That's quite how to raise an error if you want to raise it manually. Then if there is no errors in your code, and if you want to raise something out, if there is some sort of problem, then you can do this. Okay, now let's do one more thing that we have in this, that is the finally block. So try, let's take the same code over here what we have. So try, paste it out over here, and then we have a finally block. Okay, we have a finally block. In the finally block, whatever you write out, so it will be executed irrespective to if there is a error or not. So let's enter the number 4. So 4 25.0, it will be executed irrespective to the fact if there is an error or not. Okay, so this, whatever you have written out in the finally block, it will be executed. Now let's take 0. Even if in 0, whatever you have written in the except block, it will be executed eventually, but whatever is there in the final block, it will be executed. It doesn't depend upon what you have written in the try block. It doesn't depend upon what you have written in the except block. Whatever you have written in the finally block, it will be executed no matter what. So now let's understand the flow of it. So if you have any malicious code that you feel that okay, this there might be some kind of error in this kind of language or this coding block, what you can do is put everything in the code, all the code in the try block. Okay, and if there is an error in this, then what you can do is you can just write an except block. Okay, so there's an error in the code, so the execution, the automation process of your system won't break out. It will just go again and again, and it will just display out that error in the code. Finally, it will be executed irrespective to the fact if there is any error or not. Okay, so in the final block, you can just write off that thank you for processing us or anything like that. Okay. So that's the three things, like how to do exception handling. Now, I know that we haven't gone much deeper into this because exception handling is something much deeper and a much advanced topics, and this course of yours is like for the beginner to the intermediate space. But all I wanted for you guys to have a quick view on exactly how to handle exceptions and errors in Python. So this is the way how you can do it. If you want to go through these much deeper, you can just view out anywhere in the world wide web. Just it's just an click away from all the information that we have. So but that's it for errors and exceptions. I know this was not much of a deeper conversation over here. We haven't seen much of the example. It's because, again, as I told you, that this is a very advanced topics, and right now you can only master errors and exceptions or class and object. All of these are really advanced topics. You can master them once you are very much clear out with the beginner process. So I hope you enjoyed the sessions with me. uh, that's it for today. We'll connect again when we catch up with a very new topic.